Hi, welcome to the intro part 2 to Stairway to Heaven. So this is the second half of the very beginning introduction of the melodic line, right before you start the singing of the first verse. So I take it you had a chance to learn the first half of this introduction. Now we're going to do the second half. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with a play along, and then we'll get into the lesson in more detail. Okay, I'll start off with a slow 4 count. Not too fast. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that was the section there that leads into the singing of the song. So before we get started, let's check a couple things. You want to go ahead and get your instruction and music sheet that says intro part 2, and then you see some chords right here. For instance, C, D, F, A minor, and it goes on down. So you want to get this music sheet. You also want to keep handy your chord chart. Hopefully it's in the front of your binder that we talked about at the very beginning before you started your lesson package. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about these things on the board, and I'm going to explain them to you, and we'll go into the picking pattern of the section that we're playing part 2. So the things that you see on the board, first of all, anytime you have a G chord on the music sheet, you want to play a bar chord G. Okay? Once again, 2 versions of playing bar chord G. You got a regular G, baby finger on the top, that's this one right here, or bar chord on the 2nd fret, and 1, 2. So that's right there, 2nd string, all the way to the top. That's my ring finger. Okay. Now, if you want to play a regular G chord, that's perfectly fine, but we think that the bar chord G resolving to an A minor sounds better. Now, we have 2 D chords here. This is a regular D chord with a trill. So if you remember, I did something like this in the song. Okay, now the actual song, it's only 1. Okay, but what I do is I do it several times. And I'm only playing either these 2 strings or these 3. Okay? So it's up to you. You can play 2, you can play 2 or 3. Okay, but you don't want to play this bottom string. If you do, you're going to have to do your D chord differently, like this. Okay? So I just taught a bar. So there's those are some ways that you can do it if you want to. Once again, it's called a trill. So what I'm doing is I'm plucking the D chord with that note right there. See that ghost note right there? That's where I'm trilling back and forth. And all I'm doing is this. Okay? But make sure that you end with the finger off the string. So in other words, do not do this. Don't put the finger back on. Once you start, you have to end it with the finger off the fretboard, like this. Okay? To get the sound of a D chord. Okay? The other chord that we're using is a bar D, and that's located on your chord chart right about there. Chord D. So please refer to your chord chart to make the D chord. It's a little clearer than this diagram. Okay? Now, before this right here, before you play a C chord, any of the C chords on this section, you gotta do the pickup notes. A, B. The notes are A and B. Those are the pickup notes before your C chord. So in other words, here's the A string at the bottom, open A string. Next is the B, and to the C chord. A, B, So that's your open pickup string. So before you play the C, you have to do your A and B pickup notes leading into the C. For instance, A, B, C. Okay? Now, that's before every C chord. Now, the picking pattern is plucking the 2 outside, coming up, ending with the 2 outside. Once again, starting with the 2 outside, coming up, ending with the 2 outside. Starting with the 2 outside strings, coming up, ending with the 2 outside strings. So let's take the C chord, just for example. C. Start with the 2 outsides, coming up, outside again. Then we'll move into the next chord. And the pickup note would be leading into it would be A, B, C. Okay, once again, pickup notes A, B, C. Okay, don't forget, before every C chord, you got the pickup note A to B to C. Okay, and picking pattern once again, I'm using a C chord. Just for example, outside, coming up, and then outside. So outside, middle, index, outside. And you kind of repeat this pattern as you go through the whole section. So the next chord will be a D chord. D, bar D. Outside, up, and outside. Start outside, coming up, and with the 2 outside strings. Okay? And the next chord is the F. You can either do it this way, outside, coming up, or what I do is this. I do a, okay? What I do is the kind of a finger roll. And then when you do the F chord, you're going to go up and you're going to come back down. And then end on the A minor. So it'll sound like. Okay. Now you don't have to do the finger roll. You can play it string by string. But that's just an example. Next line, same thing. C, pick up, coming up to D, then D sus4. Once again, pick up, going to D, D sus4. Okay? And how many times you want to trill it is up to you. Because there's kind of like a little pause there, kind of a retardo pause. That means to just slow down the music a little bit. Okay, if you want to do it once, I'm sorry, that's fine too. It's all up to you. Next third line, pick up to the C, to D, repeat the F, A minor. Last line, pick up to the C, D, G, A minor. Okay, so that's the section over there. Back at the tutorial, try it a couple of times. Make sure that you've decided on which chords you're using now, okay? For instance, like the G bar chord, how are you going to do it? Like, are you going to do it like this? Or are you going to do it like this? Also, the D chord, you might have to practice that bar D chord if you're not too familiar using the D chord that way. And you want to practice the trill a little bit. Get used to that. Okay? And you decide on how many times you want it. I do it about maybe 3 or 4 times. In other words, something like that. That's about regular speed. So maybe start practicing by plucking it once, or maybe not even plucking it. Just take your finger and then do this. So you hammer on, pluck off, hammer on, pluck off. Just to get this middle finger in shape to handle that trill. Then when you pluck it, it'll sound nicer. You might have to strengthen that middle finger Okay, now, when you're ready, go back to the beginning of the tutorial and try with the play along. Now, it's very important once again, and I said this before, that you make sure that you can do all the chords and techniques smoothly before trying to play along. If not, you're going to make mistakes because you aren't that smooth going into it. So this is what I would do. I would look at the music. I would make sure I can do every chord, C, D, F, A minor smoothly. Coming to the trill, C, D, trill. So I'm not even playing them. I'm just trying to make sure I can do that trill with just one hand, and then continue on. Next line, the third line, C, D, F, A minor, C, D, then G, A minor. Okay, so make sure you can do all of that smoothly, including the trill, and then once you're ready, go back to the beginning of the tutorial, do the play along. Once you got it kind of smooth, maybe try doing section intro 1 and 2 together, see if you got that smooth. Now, when you're ready, go ahead and we'll see you next for the next lesson, which is the second verse. We'll see you then when you're ready. Okay.